Okay. All right.
Still not too late to separate you two.
Hot mics.
It looks like it.
Those coming right along with that. Yeah, it's gonna be.
Yeah, that's what TA Loving will do. Oh. Good evening, everyone. Would like to welcome you to tonight's meeting, all those who are here joining us live and all those who are tuned in online. It is time to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Elizabeth, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Harker,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cooper,
Here.
Commissioner Gilligan,
Here.
Commissioner LaPiccolo,
Here.
Commissioner Oliver,
Here.
Commissioner Spiegler.
Here. Thank you. Unless there's any questions about the agenda, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
We've got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to the items of consent. We've got the minute meetings from the August 11th and 25th. Rolling on Middle Lane, it's a skating event that's going to be October the 25th. Dia de los Muertos, which is a festival. This is their third year. That's going to be November the 1st. That includes activities and food and music. We have the FY 2026 budget amendment number 1. That is $60,500 from the general fund. That is for rescue equipment, and $43,000 from the utility for the SCADA upgrades and water well improvement. We have the resolution financing with First Bank for the fuel farm. This approves a $1.2 million loan documents contingent on the LGC approval. And then we have the ARP policy. That's an adoption of an ARP internal control and conflict of interest policy to maintain compliance. Unless there's any questions about the items of consent, can I get a motion to approve them?
So move.
We've got a motion on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Now we're going to move on to public comment. Elizabeth, who do we have for tonight?
I have one individual, Melissa Oden.
Oh, yes. Good morning, or good evening.
So, my name is Melissa Oden. I'm a member of Purvis Chapel, AME Zion Church, and I just wanted to come. There's a parable in the scripture that tells us about Jesus healing 10 lepers, and only one of the lepers came back to say thank you. And that just teaches us how we have an option of just taking things for granted or taking the opportunity to say thank you. So myself, on behalf of myself, Purvis Chapel, and the members of Purvis Chapel, if you could stand, please. We would just like to thank the town of Beaufort for their dedicated, diligent support, help, resources, and we could not have done our Purvis Heritage Picnic in the Park without your partnership. Partnership is important, and we're glad that we have a town that is amenable to supporting community. Our communities have gotten away from being together, no matter the color, race, creed, whatever. We can come together, have a good time, show our kids what it's about. And so we thank the town, and we just wanted to thank you all and just let Miss Rachel know that we could not have done it without her, and what a jewel she is to the town of Beaufort. We appreciate everything, and we just want to leave this token with you all. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we can't thank Purvis Chapel enough for coming up with this initiative of bringing families together, neighbors together, and it was so well organized. And as I said at the picnic, every time I complimented everybody on it, they kept saying, well, Missy did this and Missy did that, but I know it was a group effort. And we want to thank you and look forward to partnering in a future event.
Thank you so much.
Inside of it for how we can do more community initiatives together, so,
Okay.
really appreciate it. I'm gonna leave this with
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you.
you so much. God bless you all.
Thank
Same
you.
to you. Anybody else for public comment? No, nobody else for public comment. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to new business. The first item is the County Comprehensive Transportation Plan. We're going to have Mr. Kyle Garner come up and present that, and the many members from the NCDOT, Amanda Killian, will be joining him.
Thank you, Mayor.
No more handouts.
Amanda Killian is the one who's passing out the PowerPoint presentation for this evening. And while she's doing that, I'll just go ahead and put my word in for Purvis Chapel, that those folks can sing like there's, I'll tell you.
Amen to that.
They're like a bunch of angels, I can say that. I've attended several of their concerts. So, but Mayor, what we have before you this evening under the first item of business is our updated to our comprehensive transportation plan. Now, this transportation plan is countywide and it's multifaceted. It looks at highway projects, or as we say now, it's multimodal. It's highway, it's walking, it's pedestrian. It really does try to cover all the facets that transportation may take on in the county. This document is a planning document. It is a 15-year plan, looking out 15 years to what the possibilities are, as I included in my staff write-up this evening. And it is not used as part of prioritization or anything else. That means that Beaufort's projects aren't ranked or scored higher than Morehead Cities or Emerald Isles or Atlantic Beaches or Newports. This just gives an overview of projects that are specific to each individual area, whether it be in the county or municipality. This project has been worked on and developed by planners in the community, some elected officials. We're fortunate that we have people from DOT, of course, who have been involved in this from the very beginning. This process is usually a 2-year plus process. We've been fortunate just from some of the folks that we have here this evening, Mr. Patrick Flanagan, who works with the county, and his knowledge on how all this works. Folks have no idea of everything that he knows in regards to how all these projects look at in the future when you're looking at funding and other things. Then we have Mr. Mickey Anderson, who is with our Council of Government and our RPO, which is our Rural Planning Organization. And this is the group that is the mechanism where we funnel what our projects or the projects that we would like to see in transportation-wide, and then those ideas are taken to this Rural Planning Organization, to the Transportation Coordinating Committee, and then the Transportation Advisory Committee, and then they share all that with the Department of Transportation. Then also this evening, it's like a smorgasbord of DOT this evening. Okay. We have Mr. Lynn White here, who represents Division 2, and Division 2 encompasses a large area. It's based, the division office is based out of Greenville, and it covers multi-counties. And then, of course, we have Miss Amanda and Hamal, and I'm sorry, young man, I forgot your name. Danny. Who's with us from Raleigh, and they are the folks who have actually been working with our group to put together the transportation comprehensive plan. So at this time, Mayor, I would like to actually have Amanda come up and give you this presentation. It's 165 slides. No,
I expect no less.
thought-
Thank you.
Thought that would get folks' attention, but no. And I certainly do thank Hamal and Amanda for working with all of us. They've really listened. Matter of fact, we had these same folks here almost a year ago in October of last year. They took the comments that this board had. In addition, in our public work sessions that we had with the community, one of those was actually held here in Beaufort in May. So they certainly wanted to hear from what folks had to say. And Mr. DeButz was actually one of those folks who attended that. So anyway, so with no further ado, Miss Amanda.
Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for the introduction, and thank you for having us here today. So just quickly, we'll go through again kind of just what a CTP is, and then we'll talk about the progress and the next steps for it, and then we'll get into the highway and the bike and ped recommendations, and hopefully seek your adoption here today. So if you go to the next slide, please. And the next slide after that, too. And the next. Perfect. So just a quick reminder, I know Kyle kind of already talked about this. Oh, thank you. But a CTP is a high-level, long-range plan. It's actually 25 to 30 years out, and it's based on needs for transportation in the area. It comes before any prioritization or funding, so this is the very first step. It's very early-stage planning. And like Kyle said, we've been working with a lot of people at NCDOT, the Down East Rural Planning Organization, Carteret County, all the municipalities. And this represents the future transportation system. It's multimodal, so we have highway recommendations, but we also have bike and ped, and a couple other recommendations as well. There's a CTP for most every county in the state of North Carolina. So this CTP is just updating the old 2014 Carteret County CTP. And you can see a picture of it up there. So here's a bit of progress, kind of what we've been doing with this. So from summer 2020 to summer 2023, this was when the CTP was initiated. We set up all the data, had some initial meetings. We released a public input survey in the summer of 2023 where people could submit what kind of their concerns in the area and what they thought was most important, and actually put pins on a map of where they thought there were transportation issues. There were some delays due to COVID and whatnot. So October 2023 to April 2025, that was really where we kind of got this project rolling. We met about monthly with our steering committee, which again is representatives from NCDOT, all the municipalities, Carteret County, and many others. We did lots of engineering analysis, and we developed these draft CTP recommendations. And like Kyle said, in May, we hosted 4 public input sessions where the public could come out and give further feedback. We took all that feedback into account, made some more little tweaks, and now we have our draft plan here today. So here are the next steps. So we're here today to hopefully seek your adoption, and we've been scheduling meetings with all of the towns to go to them for the adoption of this CTP. After that, we would go to the Down East Rural Planning Organization for endorsement of the plan, and then we would go to the NC Board of Transportation for adoption. And after that, we'll finalize the user-friendly booklet and all of that, and that will get posted online. But all the information that's going in that, we have a draft, and we're kind of presenting to you here today. And again, this will just help support better funding opportunities in the future, but this is very long-range and high level, so this is just the first step towards those funding opportunities in the future. So we'll go ahead and move right into the highway recommendations. But any questions on those first slides first?
Any questions? I think we're good.
All right. So here we have the highway recommendations. It might be a little easier to read in your packet in front of you. But just quickly to kind of go over everything. So the red projects, those are congestion mobility projects. And then the blue, those are modernization projects. And then the black little circles, those are intersection improvement projects. So the numbers correspond to the project number, and we have a little description listed to the right there. That goes with the numbers on the map. So just a couple of things to highlight. Project 321, this is the Northern Carteret Bypass. This also comes through from the STIP, but this is just to upgrade portions of US 70 and NC 101 to interstate standards. We also have the NC 101 improvements north of Beaufort. That's project 330, and this just proposes widening on existing roadway to 4 lanes and also has some multi-use path. And I'll let you read through the other recommendations, but again, this is just very high level. There's a lot of things that could be changed down the future once these go for funding, but this is just what we identified through our steering committee meetings and through all of the public input that we did. So any questions on those projects?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Have you reset the date for that, the community or the town being able to meet with you guys concerning the roundabout on Live Oak and Cedar?
Yes. And for that, to our division engineers as well.
We're in the process of agreeing on a date. We're basically looking at the TMP plans. We've got a contractor, and we're busy speaking to the contractor in arranging a better transportation plan in terms of closure of roads. So we are in talks with Rachel and Matt. Right now, the date hasn't been set in stone, but we are looking at a date.
You have not one set in stone yet?
We've got a tentative date, but I
And
don't.
what, and what is your tentative date of construction? Beginning of
Construction to begin October.
October,
Yes, sir.
mid, first?
Mid.
Mid?
Yes, sir.
And just one last question is right at Circle Street, right off of Cedar. I think there was planned on closing that street. Is that going to remain open or is it going to be closed?
Where is Circle Street?
It's Circle Drive off of
Circle
70.
Drive off of 70 on
70.
Cedar.
Live Oak.
It's just before you probably are beginning your roundabout construction.
As far as I know, we're not going to close as far, but I'd have to look at the plans. We haven't finished the plans with Barn Hill. Originally, the plans was to close it off, but with the contractor now, we've looked at alternatives so that basically we can open up a little bit more. So that's in the discussion with the contractor. So until that's been finalized, I don't want to say yes or no because then I might be committing to something that the contractor can't deliver.
And the meeting, whenever it is
Yes, sir.
set,
Yes, sir.
is that information or is it also a facts gathering for possible whatever tweak you may need on for as the roundabout?
No, it's information.
Just information?
We will not have time to tweak it. I mean, we've basically, the amount of time that we've taken to try and tweak this, we've spoken to community, we've looked at different things that we can do. Unfortunately, there are certain things that dictate. For example, there's a sewer line that's extremely deep. We have to upgrade that sewer line. It's going to basically be 30 feet of construction, if we're lucky, a day. We're going to have lane closures maybe. There are certain things that sort of dictate that we can't get around. And the community has been very vocal in terms of not closing off businesses. And normally, we wouldn't be going back and having these discussions with the contractor, but we've been wanting to help the community and make sure what we can do is feasible, practical, and safe. So that is why we've sort of taken a step back in looking at this, because we want the community to be happier.
Oh, yeah, especially the residents in that area as well as the businesses.
I know,
access to
and that is one of the main reasons why it's been a little bit delayed, because we're doing things that we normally wouldn't do. I mean, normally we have the transportation management plan, we go out and we build it accordingly. There's been discussions, and the contractors come in and they said no, we think we can do something different, leaving things open for businesses and everything else, and looking at safety. So we've literally gone a little bit backwards to try and make sure that we have a good product for the citizens and maintain safety and mobility. So I do apologize if I'm a little bit vague, but the thing is, until it's been finalized, I don't want to commit to anything.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Before you go,
Yes, sir.
I want to kind of reinforce some of that. There's several things and I'm familiar with the limitations that you have from DOT, But I just would emphasize again, and we have spoken to other members of the DOT, there's a tremendous interest not only in the citizens, but particularly in the businesses, that they aren't shut down at any time completely. And there's a lot of flexibility. The shopping center people have said, even though you can't direct traffic there, they're willing to take it. So there's a lot of flexibility. If you'll just try to ask people to help, I think you'll find there'll be tremendous cooperation for both community and the businesses. And the mayor and I met with it, Melvin's met it, we're just speaking the mouth, we're trying to mouth the interests of the businesses, because that's our job, is to do that. So I would just share with you that I spoke with one of the major businesses there today, and they haven't heard a word. So just starting a little bit of open communication and setting some of these dates up. We know the Barnhills, we know they know us. We're all friends in this community. We just want to see frankly, a real effort to join those things so that everybody is not pissed off about traffic, and we have enough problems in our town with that. So we're just really eager to cooperate and to collaborate with you. So let us help you.
We have been in contact with Rachel and Matt and everything else, and our goal has to be open as much as we can be and basically work with the residents. So I hope that helps a little bit, but we are trying to be transparent, and we do realize that this is for the community, and we want to be a good stakeholder.
Well, this is September, so we're off and running. Thank you for missing the opening of school. That was a big help.
Well, we're trying. Thank you.
I
Any
do have a
further
few
questions
questions, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just looking at the map that you have up on the screen,
I think it's for
and-
Amanda. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for Amanda, yeah. And it's really exciting. I'm looking at the red and the blue. I think those are the congestion roads that are up there. And I do see in the descriptions that bike lanes, sidewalks, multi-use paths are going to go in a lot of those sections, which I think is wonderful. Our community has voiced often that we want to be more bikeable and walkable, and I see that you want to put some in, I think, towards Cedar to the Outer Banks. Bike lanes are recommended along this segment as well. I think that's all great. Those roads, though, are generally, 45, 55 miles per hour. So how are we going to ensure that our pedestrians and bikers are safe on those roads? How would that work?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. This is just such an early stage. We don't even think about the design yet because the projects haven't even been funded. But if it were to get funded in the future, once it gets further down the line, that's definitely something that would be studied extensively. There would be a lot of studies on it, a lot of different designs, I'm sure, a lot of community meetings. But that's far away as of now.
But you're saying this is the first step to make sure we get to that next step.
Correct.
Well, that's great. The other thing I wanted to point out, I see you have a couple of these intersections of concern. I'm looking at the intersection of 101 and 70, the new 70, so that's sort of where that big hill goes up to the light, and it's really hard to see as you're turning left to go onto the new 70 from Beaufort. To me, that would probably be and maybe I'll let my other commissioners chime in too, but I would think that would be one of the intersections of concern because the visibility there is quite tough.
Yeah. I see where you mean on the map.
It went in when the new 70 went in, and
Yeah.
It's
think
been dubbed by our citizens as Kill Hill, so
Yeah.
it kind of
Right.
scares everyone.
yeah, and it's on your red line, so I would think just go ahead and put that black circle right there.
That one is part of another project, just being looked at already in conjunction with the airport. So there will be some changes going forward out in the future. But there's also, in the past 6 to 9 months, we've gone out and done some improvements with the signalization to give some protected movements, so for that blind hill, or hard to see hill.
So
there's
you're aware
other-
of it?
Yes, yeah, we are.
Okay.
There's other construction going on out there too. I don't know if you can speak to this, but they're at the 70 and 101 intersection. A little bit beforehand, there's a couple of metal poles going on both sides, east and west. Is that going to be something that will say to the driver, flashing, your light's about to turn red? I don't know what's going on there, but there's
That's-
something going on.
That's gonna be my guess, and
Okay.
that's what that is, but, yeah, that's probably what that is.
All right, so you also have pedestrian crossing that is being made at the 70 and Turner intersection. That's where I had my accident. Just want to go ahead and put that out there.
I'm not an attorney.
That's also a concern as well as far as transportation is concerned, because you're making that multimodal. So you have transportation lights, it looks like you're going to be able to turn the signal red, so on and so forth. I can tell you from personal experience, red means nothing to some of these folks. And they're running through those lights going east and west at a high rate. Some of them is almost as if it's a surprise. And it has nothing to do with the sun being in their eyes. If you're going to put something out there for pedestrians to cross over in any way, you may want to put some signal lights out there that lets those individuals that are coming in both directions at a high rate of speed, that the light is going to turn red. You need to be prepared to stop. Because if I can come through with a car and no one stops at a solid red light, and it's been that way for a while, I can't imagine what's going to go on with the pedestrian.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
We have a regional traffic engineer department, and that's something I can take to them to have them look at that intersection. If you will, just get it to Patrick or Mickey to make sure I got the right intersection.
Yes,
But that's
sir.
something that they dive into more, but for the pedestrian crossings.
Okay, that would be great.
I would second Mayor Harker on that one. I've almost been hit at that intersection multiple times because people don't stop at the red light.
Yeah.
That's not just there, that's everywhere, so.
And
There are
Kyle,
a
Yeah,
you
but this
have
one
something
is
to add?
particularly dangerous.
There are a couple other things I want to touch on, too. I think you mentioned the airport. I presume that you're up to date and have met with the airport and know about the 101 discussions that are out there.
Yeah, everybody's on the same page.
Okay. The second one that we haven't mentioned tonight and is the intersection at Gallant's Channel, West Beaufort Road, and the Marina. And it's coming down the bridge. You can't signal it. And I don't want to be a witness to somebody losing their life. In my opinion, that's a terrible, 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 dangerous intersection. And we're getting ready to drastically increase the traffic out there with development at Gallant's Channel. And I'd be glad to meet with you one-on-one.
Well, the mayor is actually on a committee, Carter County has a transportation committee, and she's seated on it, so just get her the information, what you want to have looked
Well,
at.
she can't go because she was in an automobile accident at Turner.
I'm not an attorney.
No,
Can't help it again. But no, just anything
I'm
like
well
that.
healed, I'm well healed.
There you go.
Very well.
Glad to hear it. But yeah,
if we're
anything
moving
like that,
forward.
just funnel it through the mayor, she takes it to that committee, which I'm on also.
Yes, sir.
And that's something we can take back for our regional folks to have a
Thank
look
you,
at.
thank
Yeah,
you.
and if
I'll
we're throwing it
second,
all on the
yes.
table as far as wish list here.
All right.
I think connecting Turner Street to that West Beaufort would be best. A lot of people try to ride their golf carts down Turner and cross over to get to West Beaufort Road Extension, to get to the Maritime Museum Annex. I think that's going to become a problem in the future. I think trying to tie that in and working with the town and DOT and possibly some private landowners around that area, there would be a really big wish list to try to keep the town more residential instead of crossing over a major highway.
Yeah,
So-
stuff like that, that can be, some of this idea can be done before a CTP project would be submitted, because we do have safety idea funds, stuff like that, spot safety. So, smaller projects can have an opportunity to get moved up. So anything like that, just funnel it through the transportation committee.
Okay, Mayor, I'd like to make a comment if you're going to that committee. I totally agree about that area. I was actually just talking to Matt about it last week over lunch, and one of my colleagues had their truck totaled there as well at the intersection. Same thing as you had with your wreck. And one thing I've noticed, not just going west, but coming east, people are coming down the bridge, trailering boats, and the boats are actually pushing the people down the bridge, and they're not able to stop quickly when things get
No, they don't stop at all.
dicey. So I think that's a whole nother factor. It's not a level surface. We got boats pushing vehicles down bridges, and people are having to compensate and slam on brakes.
But if they know that light's going to turn red, they'll be better prepared than trying to gun it, which a lot of times they don't seem to hit the mark. And we'll get to you, Mr. White, all this information
Okay,
at the
sounds
meeting. But Kyle, you did want to make a comment. You're good to go. Okay,
He was gonna try to bail me out, I think.
all righty. Amanda, back to your topic at hand.
Well, thank you. Those are great questions. And everyone's contact information is at the end too, just so you know. But with that, we can move on to bike and ped. So here are the bike and ped recommendations. It's on slides 10 and 11. So just a quick overview. There's thick lines and thin lines. The thin lines are the existing sidewalk, bike, multi-use, all of that. And then the thicker lines are the recommendations. So the yellow is bicycle, the purple is pedestrian, like sidewalks. The green is bicycle and pedestrian, and then the brown is multi-use path. So I'll give you a minute to just kind of look through those recommendations, but kind of see those on the map. And the recommendations with the star next to them, those are also highway projects. So there's a highway project and also bike and ped.
I do have a question about this. So this looks great. Can you start this tomorrow?
Yeah.
But so some of these roads are DOT owned and some of these are town owned. So how does that work out with implementing these recommendations?
So essentially to get funding for any of these projects, so for funding for any of these projects, you'd come to the Down East RPO, and they would submit that into the state's prioritization program, where they're scored against at the bicycle and pedestrian level, they're scored against other projects in the division, which is a much more regionalized scoring. So you're not competing against Raleigh directly with those. As far as how those projects come about, they're usually from members of the TCC, which is our Technical Coordinating Committee and Transportation Advisory Committee, who are members of your community. They're either elected officials or staff members. And once they go into the STIP, we would then seek approval or commitments from the municipality that they're located in. So basically what happens is there's a cost share with bicycle and pedestrian projects. It's not like highway where it gets scored, it gets funded, and yay, you're getting it. So we would need commitment from whatever municipality that project is located in. As far as, I'm assuming your question is probably leaning towards maintenance as well. I think that would be more of a question for the division.
That cost share, what generally does the town, what is
20.
their portion? 20%?
Yes, ma'am.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, well, thank you. And then, I think in your packet you might have a couple other maps as well. These are just maps that are included in the CTP. There's the facility types map, which just lists out what the current facility is, and then there's the public transportation, which lists the current public transportation systems. So that's in your packet. It's not on the board here, but you can take a quick look through that. And then we hope to see your adoption of this plan. Like I said, we're going to all the towns and asking for their adoption. We're kind of at the end stages of our CTP. And after that, it'll go to endorsement from the RPO and then the Board of Transportation for adoption. So I'll give you all a minute to discuss.
Okay. So this is going to be pretty much your final stage. There's no further input from the towns once they adopt this resolution?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Gilligan.
I have a question. So I just want to clarify that when we adopt this, we are adopting the Beaufort portion of this plan. We're not adopting the entire plan.
Yes, that's correct.
Thanks.
Any further questions before I call for a motion?
In adopting this, are the comments that have been made and suggestions, does that need to be specifically enunciated in the adoption of this, or is,
No, those are, I would say those are separate kind of requests and things. So you can email those to Len and everyone, but that's separate of the CTP, I would say.
okay, and has the county already adopted this?
No, we're going to them later.
Have any other towns adopted this?
You're our first town, so we have lots of others scheduled. We're going
We
to.
thank you for coming here first.
Yeah,
But that's
of
good
course.
to know.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the Carteret County Comprehensive Transportation Plan as presented.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor. Any further questions?
Should we cite the comments that were made tonight?
Right.
Well, basically, they've closed the input process, so our input will not be included in this plan and should go through another process. But I agree, we need to get our comments into the other process because they're really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to get the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got my homework assignment. Ms.
We
Hamel?
can definitely include your meeting minutes in our documentation for records.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so yeah,
That-
our
that-
comments will be in the meeting minutes. Okay, so I'll amend the motion to say including, the inclusion of our comments and concerns in the meeting minutes that will be attached to the CTP.
Yes, ma'am. So we are including the resolution in our CTP document. Along with the resolution, we will be including your meeting minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's a good compromise. Thank you very much. All right, so we've got a cleaned up motion. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed have the same right. Thank you very
Well,
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's see how fast NCDOT moves out. You're more than welcome to stay. I'll give them just a second to clear the room before we move on to our next topic.
You can take him with you.
You want to keep him, that's your best friend, right? All right, so now we're going to move on to the sewer allocation request for 801 Mulberry. We have Mr. Sam Bell for that one. Or, yes, there you go, Sam.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me. First item that presented tonight will be the 801 Mulberry sewer allocation request. This project you may be more familiar with. It's been underway for a few years now. The applicant is Philip Lewis of Balua Lewis Properties, current property owner / developer. Is requesting that 7,989 gallons per day of sewer treatment plant be allocated for the project. And this is the part of the project that's outside of the original footprint. So if you go to the, let's see, here's a bit of history on the project as well. But just continuing on, the site is located within town limits. All permitting and application requirements have been met with the state, which places it in a priority level 1 category according to the town's allocation policy. Engineering plans and specifications have been approved by the town. And I mentioned that this new request is for the development outside of the footprint, original footprint. So previously, 7,500 gallons per day had been approved for development inside the footprint, and that's what has been, that's what you see going on there today. So going to a little bit of the history, back in April of 2022, the project was rezoned. The rezoning was approved for a planned unit development, as well as the master plan approved that included the area outside of the original footprint. The 7,500 gallons per day was credited for development inside the original footprint. That was for the use that was already there with the school. basically. At that point, redevelopment begins on the condos within the old school building, the event center, and the flower shop. Fast forward to April 2025, the utility plans were approved for the townhome and mixed use, and all the required state permits were obtained. And then recently, the wastewater allocation that you see tonight was submitted. So going to the existing conditions, you can see the existing site here on the map, within town limits, of course. It's about 16 acres, zoned PUD, served by gravity, sewer, and lift station number 7. Construction's currently underway on the 34 condo units within the original school building, the event space that's in the old gymnasium, and the flower shop has been redeveloped and is currently open and operational. The request tonight is for the mixed use and townhome development that will be outside of the original footprint. Like I mentioned before, it's priority level 1. So all the state permits have been obtained: wastewater, water, erosion sedimentation control, and as well as stormwater and driveway permits. The 7,989 gallons per day represents about 0.5% of our total wastewater capacity, which we can talk about next. There's a map showing the proposed site as well as our system lift station basins. Total current capacity is 1.5 million gallons per day, and our available capacity before we hit 80% is at roughly 70,800 gallons per day, which is about 75.3% of total capacity. And then the lift station number 7 available capacity is currently about 60,700 gallons per day. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about our system or the proposed development. I believe the developer and the engineer are also here as well to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
I'll do my best to answer what you have. If I don't know something, I can always write it down and get back to you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mayor, I have one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do I need to recuse myself because I'm married to the florist that they're talking about here?
So that's going to be up to the attorney.
Can you expand upon that relationship? Not the marriage
Not in,
part.
not in
but
public,
the
thank you
forest
very
part.
much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. My wife leases property from the applicant, and it occupies the flower shop.
That's already served by sewer, presumably.
It is well served by sewer and water.
I don't think that constitutes a conflict, mayor and board.
Thank you for
Thank
asking, and thank you for that.
Yep.
All right, now,
I-
does anybody have any questions for Sam?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Cooper, okay. Okay.
Lift Station 7, that's a problem station, isn't it? I mean, it needs some work on it?
That's true, sir. It is currently at the top of our list for replacement. We've got the plans and specifications ready to go out for bid. So we are anticipating that project to get underway as soon as we finalize our budget. But currently, the last time we fixed it, I thought I had some history on the lift station up here as well. Oh, here we go. Yes. So it's ready to bid. We got the final designs completed. Back in 2023, the pumps were rebuilt to increase the capacity of the pumps from 150 gallons per minute up to 273 gallons per minute for both of those pumps. And currently, we haven't had any issues with those. They've been operating well with the increased capacity. And we still know it's a very old station and needs to be rebuilt, but it has been performing with its rebuild so far.
I was looking over the plans and reading everything, and at the last minute, I sent the message to our town manager because I wanted to know what was the operating capacity for water and sewer when the school were actually a school where students and faculty was involved. At the president asking for 7,500.
Yes, sir. They were credited for 7,500 gallons per day for the use that was there when the school was there. That was based on 500 students at 15 gallons per day per student. And so they have that. The total flow calculation for the entire development came in at just over 15,000 gallons per day, which is why they're back asking for the additional capacity now.
And Sam, back to lift station 7. So you're saying it would cost over $3 million to replace it. Do we know about how much longer it's going to last before it might go?
We don't know how much longer. It is at the top of the list, and the most recent fixes have been performing well. At least over the past year, we haven't had any incidents of alarms or shutdowns, which is good news. But yes, we don't know how long those fixes are going to last.
Commissioner Gilligan has a question of you. Yes. Been waiting to answer. Okay.
Sam, was this part outside the footprint inside of the 2022 approved master plan?
The part outside of the footprint was approved in the master plan when the master plan was approved.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sam, is any part of that property in the NIZ at our present NIZ?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have the NIZ map here in front of me, so I can't answer that. But I can look that up for you and get back to you, or
I think I can help you a little bit on that if you want to. Just, Melvin, just the very northern part of it, which is shown on his map, is in the 100-year floodplain. The rest of it, and also they're elevating this as part of their plan, which is, I don't know if they went through the Lomer process or not, but I know it's being filled to handle those issues.
When I looked at the map earlier today, I think the front part where the old Beaufort Elementary School, that is not in the NIZ, but most of it behind that is. But most of where they're developing is in the proposed NIZ. Hasn't been passed, but formally adopted yet.
Yeah.
Sam, if I
Yes.
Sam, if I could you translate for us? You've got under that slide, the other one, you're talking about lift station 7 and you're talking about gallons per minute. Let's cut through that a little bit. Is the current pump adequate to service the 16,000 gallons per day that is being requested?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
And for further clarification, does this request put extra stress on
You bet.
the lift station? See, I would worry that if we granted this request, given that we have a questionable lift station that was built in the 1960s, could it cause a failure and then everybody in lift station 7 area is inconvenienced because of that?
So what would be the time frame, the proposed time frame of building this out in order to get a sense?
I believe they're
Okay, you have that
looking
sense.
at building out as soon
Yes.
as possible. And then as far as lift station 7 replacement, we're planning on going out for bid within the next month.
Yeah, that's a good
What
question.
funds
How are we
are-
getting the
where's
money?
$3 million coming
So
from?
I was waiting for an opportunity.
Oh, okay. Matt has answered.
So where we are in the position is you have a design ready for bid. Unfortunately, these are all engineer guesstimates, and I'm not being disrespectful because the market is so volatile. Our engineers are doing the very best they can. So in 2021, that cost estimate was roughly $750,000. With all the ups and downs, it could go as high as $3 million. So what we did is we tried to find local contractors to get what we would consider to be a back of envelope estimate. That number might be as low as $1.5 million. If it's as low as $1.5 million, and I'll look to our finance team to correct me if I'm misinterpreting any of the past data, but we have approximately $900,000 in capital reserves. I think it's actually closer to $984,000, but $980,000. And then what we would do is, if there was an opportunity to get the project in that $1.4 million, $1.5 million, $1.6 million, that's a reachable goal potentially with our current capital reserves that we do have on file. So we could dip into potential fund balance for utilities, make that whole, and pay cash and move forward. What we're trying to do is, through our prioritization process, determine the weakest links in the chain, address those as quickly as we can with our funding opportunities, and then we're also pursuing outside grant sources whenever and always as we can. So we believe that pump station number 7 is such a critical need, whether this additional 7,000 to 8,000 gallons flows through or not. And then there's also the build-out period. So what we're trying to do is stay well advanced of the issue so that we can, an ounce of prevention versus a pound of medicine on the backside. So what we're going to try to do is, over the next 60 to 90 days, secure those numbers, come forward with a solution. Now, I want to be clear that in the government, we want to be as transparent as possible. If this comes in at $2 million, $2.5 million, or $3 million, that gives us a very clear path forward as to how we would have to then seek additional emergency funding. And so we have already met with our legislators trying to find out if there's any emergency funding grants that are available, and we're looking at every possible avenue specific to Pump Station 7 and all of our legacy USDA issues.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Here's a developer who is potentially going to be opening up, or will have these condominiums and other buildings here in Beaufort. And we're being asked to no problem, no fault our own, a old system to bring it up to par so that this developer will be able to utilize how many of the gallons that he needs per day. I would think, just as we have asked a previous company that was coming into Beaufort to assist us, I would like to see if it's potential that we can turn around and ask this developer the same thing, because we're asking that we take our fund balance money from citizens to give to a developer so that he will have water and sewer. Now, that's just my thought.
Can I comment on
Yes.
that? I think this lift station was already a #1 priority, and it has nothing to, like, it's a whole separate issue from the development. It just happens that it's coinciding in time, and the interpretation, it could be kind of smeared a little bit. But I do think this lift station has been a priority for a while by itself, and I'm kind of wondering, if we did consider the request favorably, could we caveat it that they cannot hook up and become active until we fix the lift station to protect the other people who are already on the line? I'm not sure if that, I mean, I don't know, Ari, if that's something
what's
you
the
can
legal-
get on, or
That's a huge risk at this point, because you could have a developer making a substantial investment with no certainty of sewer hookup. So I would not recommend that the board go that route at this point.
okay, thank you.
And the other thing I think we're all sensitive to the fact that this station was built in 1969. But coming back to Sam's point, the lift station as it currently stands is capable of handling the flow that's being requested. The same thing could happen
Until it's
anywhere
not.
in our community, unfortunately.
Until it's not.
I'm sorry?
Until it's not.
No, it is.
No, until it's not.
Well, yeah, until the pump doesn't work. I understand that. But it is rated for the capacity. The thing that distinguishes this particular application to me is the fact that that it's noteworthy that they've gone and gotten every single permit before they've come here and asked us for sewer. I have to give credit for that. We're going to talk a little later on about some other situations, and frankly, that's where I'm going to show a distinction. But this is a permitted PUD with capacity adequate in place. It's old, and I hate to go back to it, but I think if we have any one pump of this, it's going to cost this same type of problem, same kind of money. And if these pumps fail, we are in an emergency situation. There's no question about that, regardless of whether it's this one or any one down the street. So I just think that this particular project at least has gone through and has every single state water permit in place and the PUD in place before they've asked for sewer allocation, which I just want to commend that.
Yeah, they're ranked as number one in our priority setting for sewer. Yeah.
I agree, Paula.
Well, I don't want to take away from all of that, because I also want to give them kudos, because they put in some sidewalks around their construction there, and it went around a live oak, which is commendable that they didn't consider cutting it down, that they actually built the sidewalk around the tree. So many would like to just cut it down and be done with it, but I would commend them on saving that live oak.
All right. Any further questions? We've got a consideration of request for 7,989 gallons per day for the development located at 801 Mulberry Street. Yes, Dr. Commissioner LoPiccolo.
No, that's fine. I just want to reiterate that I think, the town is responsible for that pump. The pump's age, at being the 1960s, we likely have other pumps in our community that may be failing, and we are responsible for these things, and it shouldn't hold up priority one type allocations that we're looking at here. I was on the planning board when we approved this. They did quite a bit to make sure that they preserve the high school gym, that they preserve the school, which is meaningful to the community. That back area could have been developed at over 200 townhomes, and the developer scaled that down and made it much more residential or appealing to this area. So, hopefully we can also work with the developer with allocating a pathway towards the back so that we can use it for our trestle walk. So we're definitely interested in that. I'd like to see that come of this development as well. But no, I'm kind of for this. I think it checks all the boxes, and I think we do need to move forward with it, in my opinion.
Okay.
Are we going to hear from the developer too, or?
Sam, do you?
It's a pleasure of the board.
Okay. If the developer or the representative wish to speak, please come on up, state your name.
Good evening. My name's Ron Cullifer. I'm representing the developer here tonight in this sewer allocation request. And I was at that same planning board meeting with you, John. But we have been working on this quite a while, and we had conversations with Greg Michal back early on about the lift station capacity. And we determined that lift station would support this flow. The background and the history of it being the number one priority, for replacement or upgrades, I wasn't necessarily privy to that. But, the comments that any lift station can go out at any time is a true fact. Hopefully that doesn't happen here. But our allocation, is within the limits of the capacity of that station as it is. Our flow is going to go over a period of time. I mean, you give us the green light, we're not going to be putting water there today. It's going to take, a while to build those number of units. Our plan is to hopefully start in the first quarter of next year. There's enough units to take a while to build. So, if your project goes through in the next 60 days for construction and 6 months or 8 months or whatever it is for build, I mean, we won't have any water going down that trunk line before it's operational. If the funding issue becomes a problem, that lift station still has the capacity to handle what we're proposing to add to that facility.
Okay. Any question for Mr. Culliver?
One just curious question. Ron, is that pump, are there two pumps in that lift station?
There should be. I mean, I'm not familiar with it, but all those pumps have at least two. All those stations have at least two.
I would just share with you from my background of this particular thing, there are two pumps in these lift stations.
Yeah, I mean, if one pump goes out, the other pump's still taking care of business. I mean, they're backup pumps. They alternate, but they're still
Replacing a
backup.
pump is not what we're talking about when we're talking about replacing a lift station. Replacing a pump is only $5,000 or $10,000 today, probably. I haven't done one since I'm out of that, but these lift stations are equipped with two pumps and
Backup generators, alarms, I mean, all the things that go with them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Sam, did you want to confirm
I have
that there was two pumps that were, did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, I
I'm
had
sorry.
a question.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
not sure if this has been asked or said already.
Come back.
So since I wasn't here in 2022 when this was originally approved, did the site plan change? Why is the extra sewer being requested today over what was approved back in 2022?
You didn't have the sewer allocation policy back then. So we had the project for the existing school agreed upon that we weren't increasing what the school capacity previously was. So, we actually have the sewer installed, most of it now, and we're just trying to get the paperwork to catch up with us. It's kind of an agreed upon thing. We have a project that the planning board, this council approved back in whenever it was. I've been around too long, just 2 or 3 years ago. But it's at the point where they're looking forward to moving on with the next phase.
Okay, so this is the next phase, which is where the new sewer allocation is coming from.
Yes, ma'am.
And actually, going back to John's question, the original scheme on this was actually more dense than what is now.
The condominiums decreased a little bit.
Correct.
And can you talk a little bit about what sort of measures you are putting in that back half of the property where it is a lot lower and it is in the 100-year floodplain? What are you doing back there for flooding measures?
So it is actually being proposed to be filled. We disclosed that when we got approval here before. The stormwater management plan is the disconnect dispersion process. Low density, a lot of permeable pavement. We went through quite a bit of work with Greg on how to facilitate that within the town's ordinances, and we've accomplished that. I think when you actually see the plans, once they're available, you'll be pleased. But it is proposed to be filled.
Any further questions? I think it's safe, Mr. Culliver, this time. Now, Sam, can you clarify whether we have two pumps that are available out there?
Yes, I can confirm that there are two pumps, and they're both operational.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. So unless we have any further questions, I just need to know the pleasure of the board when it comes down to the request to allocate 7,989 gallons per day for the proposed project at 801 Mulberry.
Make a motion to approve the project.
Thank you.
That's
We've
submitted.
got a motion to approve. Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to the sewer allocation request for 265 and 275 Highway 101. And Sam, you're up on that one as well. And do we have any developer or contractors available for this one as well?
Yes, Madam Mayor, the developer and engineers are here for this project as well.
Okay.
So yes, moving on to the next allocation request. This one would be considered a reservation request since it sits in the priority 4 category, which is for speculative requests that have not yet made a major investment on the design or permitting aspects of the project. They mainly want to know, are they able to get the allocation before they go and spend a lot of time and effort on the design and permitting of it. And for the reservation, they would be required to pay 20% of the calculated system sewer development fees. But going into the project history, we've got some short history on this project. Just recently, the reservation request was submitted. The existing site is roughly 20 acres total, spread across, I think, 4 properties between the bypass and Highway 101. It's within town limits and currently adjacent to areas served by gravity sewer and lift stations 10, 7 on one end and possibly 9 on the other end. The proposed sketch plan is shown here. They are proposing 105 townhome units for 16,380 gallons per day, which would represent roughly 1.1% of our total wastewater capacity. As stated before, it's considered priority 4 per our allocation policy, which I believe you have a copy of as well. I brought that with me too if you have any questions on that. And developers here if you have any questions about the development itself. So where it sits is kind of sandwiched between the 2 basins between 9 and 10. And 10 it pumps to pump station 7, so it also goes through pump station 7. Of course, as mentioned before, 7 has capacity, 10 has some capacity. Lift station 9, our current numbers are showing we're in the negative on capacity for number 9. That's probably due to some numbers showing a period of time when the pumps were experiencing some difficulties and some repairs needed to be made. So they operated in a sort of debilitated state for a couple of months, which showed inflated run times. So once we have another few months of data, we should get some better numbers on lift station 9, but it has been repaired since then. But that's the only numbers I had to go off of right now, so that's why I showed that. Of course, it's not the only path they have for sewer, but just one of the possibilities since it hasn't been designed yet. Mentioned before, we're at roughly 75.3% total capacity. We just added another 0.5, so that brings us to 75.8% capacity. So this would bring us to 76.9% if approved. Next steps, if approved, would be they would pay 20% of the calculated sewer system development fees. It'd be good for 24 months, in which that period of time they would have to get the required approvals for rezoning, site plan approvals, state permits, and then the allocation would be considered utilized once the certificate of occupancy is issued for the buildings. The other factors, as I mentioned, were the pump station capacities. Of course, we know we're working on pump station 7. Pump station 9 was in a debilitated state, but it's since been repaired, so should have some better numbers on that soon. And happy to answer any questions.
Are you saying that we just don't know at this point if pump station 9 can handle this amount of capacity?
We, according to state permitting requirements, you can still request flow allocation even if the pump station is technically over capacity. Of course, there are, safety factors and things built in, peaking factors. So currently, we haven't had any problems with it since it's been fixed, similar to number 7. So it seems to be working much better now.
So we're about to put another load on pump 7, where we just gave permission for, so now pump 7 is gonna get another load onto it.
Possibly. It depends on which way they may want to route it.
And can you go back up a slide?
Yes, sir. This is the...
One more. There. This is right off 101?
Yes, it looks like their proposed entrance would be off of 101 and probably off of Ronnie Road as well.
So they're coming to us on a wish thing because they haven't really, no plans. It just what they may be proposing to do. And that'd be 105 units?
Yes, sir, yes. It's all preliminary, very preliminary at this point.
And we'd always ask the developer some questions once we get through asking Sam. That will help out.
I agree with that.
Any further questions for Sam? Okay. So we do have the representative here, I guess if they would like to come up. And seems like some of our commissioners may have some questions for you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Kevin Johnston with Taft Family Ventures out of Greenville, North Carolina.
Can you pull the mic down so the
I'm
old man
sorry.
can hear you?
Is that better?
That's much better.
Okay, sorry. Kevin Johnston from Taft Family Ventures out of Greenville, North Carolina. I'm Chief Operating Officer, kind of run of our development program there. If you're not familiar with our company, we're a multifamily developer, owner, constructor, manager, if you will. Rental properties, we don't do a for sale type of product. If you're familiar with Compass Landing in Newport, at the old blinking red light, as I used to call it, I'm from Havelock originally. I live 101 Pelican Court, right down the ICW from here, so I'm kind of local to the area here. Graduated from East Carolina, but I ended up back in Greenville, working. So to answer your question, sir, we're in conceptual design mode right now. We've had to go out and do a lot of survey, topo, and so forth on the site. You know, we've already invested some money on that, and with the design layout of the site here, we're building similar townhomes like this in Clayton, North Carolina, and also in Greenville. So we know what the size of the footprint of the buildings will be. And so for the site with sidewalks, driveways, stormwater, everything, we're pretty good at designing, laying it out. Stroud Engineering local here is on the project. So, you know, we've estimated we're 105 units plus or minus, you know, 1 or 2 when everything's said and done for the project. So we have to go through the process of getting the land rezoned that we've been working with planning on and had some early meetings with Matt and the mayor, you know, on advisement for that. So we're getting ready to go through the planning process to make sure that we can get the rezoning completed for the development. And then at the same time, we'll be working to mature our architectural and civil engineering designs for the project. But we'll probably end up exactly about where we think we are because we've spent a bunch of time and effort laying out the site as it is right now. To get through that whole process, it'll be 9 to 12 months before we ever start construction on it. That'll be sometime late next summer timeframe if we're lucky to start construction. By the time we get into that, we'll be over $1 million invested in it. So as pointed out earlier, it's very interested before we make a big investment with moving the project forward is whether we can get zoning for it, whether we have water, sewer, you know, power to the site. Construction time frame for it would probably take about 16 months to build it. We would deliver the first buildings that would start to come online would not be until, summertime 2027 timeframe. So, it's a mix of 2 and 3 bedroom townhouses. Some of them are front loaded, some of them are rear loaded that we've worked through the design with an architect out of Raleigh. For that, it'll have a big coastal feel to it and try to have it set up so when we come over the bridge off of 70 there, you'll see it. It'd be a big storm pond. It's kind of shown. Well, that plan doesn't show it, but the south end of it would be a big storm pond. And everything down there is how we have it laid out right now. So the units are, 1,800 to 2,300 square feet, 1 and 2 car garages, 2 and 3 bedrooms, each one for it. And so we're interested in doing the project. I'm, personally interested in it because I'm a native here. I like to do development, like to see things succeed. And, we have a pretty good team put together to put that together, but we just need to know that we have the capacity reserved, which is what the other team had kind of gone through 2 years ago before they started making investment to get all the permitting and everything done for the project. So maybe with that spill, I answered quite a few of your questions. If not, I'm here for you.
Any questions for Mr. Johnston? Yes, sir.
I'm familiar with your company. I know your company. I'll vouch for your reputation and the volume of business and the way you do it. Am I correct in assuming that these will not be rental units, or will be for sale units?
No, sir. They would be for rent units, not for sale.
They will be. So
Would
these
be
will be
one ownership group would own 105 units that would be for rent, just like an apartment complex, but they're townhouses. So we think it provides another good choice of places to live for folks, whether they're working class now or retirement age that want, to get away from home ownership, because the project will have its own amenities, pool house and so forth, and a staff there. The landscaping, pest control, all that stuff's taken care of, by somebody else. So it's not a condo, it's a for rent, product, but it would be fully, supported by staff.
Do you, have you had an opportunity to consider whether any of these can have workforce, not pricing and so on, so that we will not be 100% free market rental?
Yes, sir, we have looked into that. And, if we understood the parameters.
I know it's early in the project, but do you think that this 105 units, that some accommodation could be made on that when you get into the application process?
Yes, sir. As we go through the application process and finalize our design and the pro forma, as y'all are finding out with the sewer lift station, and construction costs are very expensive. These days, interest rates are high. It's a $25 million project overall. It takes a lot. You got to have the rental income in order to support it. So it all just depends on the economies of it. But we are very interested in supporting. I'm a retired Air Force. I left here from East Carolina when the Air Force came back. Very interested in supporting law enforcement, school teachers, health administrators. We've talked with the mayor about going to Moorhead to meet over with the hospital president over there about it. I know that there's 7 squadrons F-35s that are getting ready to bed down in Cherry Point, and there's a lot of folks coming here. Beaufort's a great place to live. 101 expansions and all that stuff. It's a good place. So yes, sir. We have considered that.
I won't be here making the decisions at that time, but I would suggest to you, as someone who has looked at some of these things in this community, that that's going to be a tremendous star in your horizon if you can help us solve that, because that's probably close to being our number one issue in the town. So I know some of your other projects, you've done that, and I would just, I would urge you and I would give you the advice to really push on that, because I think that would create a lot of appeal in this community and specifically with the approval of this project.
I mean, interesting, I've looked into it enough that the AMI, Beaufort's,
Right.
income level is very high. So the 80% mark, of adjusted mean income here is still pretty high. I mean, the difference between a market rate apartment and a 80% income, I mean, I call it like a car payment. It's $400 to $500 a month difference in rent, and so we are interested in supporting something like that, understand the parameters of it. We are working on another project in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Matter of fact, I'm going there tomorrow. And, there we're doing that program, but we get a tax abatement, in South Carolina, because South Carolina taxes are crazy high. I mean, speaking of taxes, something that drives the city, obviously, is tax base. And so I think now the current owners of the property, they're spending about $16,000 a year or so on property taxes. If we improvement and put 105 units there, I just did a quick comp today out of Moorhead, and it's somewhere $150,000 to $160,000 of tax revenue once the project is built and stabilized. So that kind of helps with some of the revenue side.
And my understanding, the perception I've gotten is that you have not only the knowledge how to do that, but you have the financial capability to put that product on the ground, and
Yes, sir.
that's something that want to point out, and I'm glad that you stated that tonight. This approval of water, you do recognize has a sunset of 24 months. Can you do it?
Yes, sir. Fully confident. As long as, and meetings we've had so far with
Well,
Mr.
good
Carter,
luck
so-
with them, but I understand that. But again,
Well, me and Con go way back. My father and his father worked together.
you'll find no better than that. When would you reapproach us for zoning and that type thing?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
When would you reapproach this board for zoning approvals and all that?
I think it's going to be sometime this fall. I mean, we've turned on a traffic study right now, and we're getting more information collected.
Do you think you're going to have to do a TIA on 101?
No, not according to Remy Camp, who did the traffic signal for 70 because of and I haven't got, they just did the traffic counts there this week, but because of the number of units and so forth, it's not driving a TIA. That's what the experts are advising me. I'm not a traffic engineer by
That's
any
all the
stretch.
questions I have, Mayor. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, Bucky.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Oh, Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you for your service. Air Force myself.
Great.
Don't find many Air Force around here in this marine town. But
That's why I got away from it.
as Commissioner Oliver stated, workforce housing is a dire need here in Beaufort. But unfortunately, a lot of it is based on where you were saying, looking at the income base here. When they look at that 28516 zip code, it's like ka-ching.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of the residents in our workforce here don't have that ka-ching. And it would be, I think, very productive if you would be able to try to work something so that, I'm not saying all of your 105 units has to be that, but if a good percentage of them could be set aside, that they are, I don't never like to use the word affordable, because affordable is whatever you can afford, but attainable,
Attainable.
if that
It's a
could be
good word.
considered.
It's a good word.
Yes, thank you.
I like to just point out, our company also has an affordable division, and we're number 26 or 36 in the country right now. We got 5 or 6 different projects under construction, for affordable housing. And, our group would be very happy, to come to Beaufort to provide more. Look, I have 3 daughters. I'm actually moving one of them right now because she can't afford to buy a house, and they're saving their money, for it. So I
Yes.
fully get it. the cost of living is tough. I mean, it's tough on everybody, so.
And just to be clear on that, you have the financial capability to pull that kind of project off.
Yes, sir.
That's-
We
that's
have,
the secret.
we have 4 projects under construction right now, one in Charlotte, one in Raleigh, one in Greenville, South Carolina. And so, yes, sir, we have the experience in the team to be able to execute on the project, so, yes, sir.
All right.
America.
Yes.
I think that sounds absolutely wonderful. But just a reminder that we have had some good intentions from other developers that wanted to do that same thing, but didn't come through with it. And if we don't have something written up front, of course, no one has to implement that. And so I think, we could be running into that again, although I do like the idea that your company is capable of doing that.
Well, apparently,
I think that's what my boss, he would be interested in, is knowing what the parameters were for that to try to work through it. I mean, we do development agreements all the time that would lay out those parameters, that we would deliver on, once we agree to what, the parameters are. But, it's a big investment for us, in the company, and, sorry. We would do all that we can to support it, if it makes, fiduciary sense, for us, from a business perspective.
Would you be willing to go through the cost and expensive of developing a pre-annexation agreement before we discuss the water and sewer?
Can you repeat that one more time?
I'm sorry. Would you be willing to go through the internal costs which you would bear of going through a pre-annexation, or excuse me, a pre-development agreement, a development agreement prior to reaching a decision on this critical issue of sewer capacity?
Sure, we would do that. Yes, sir. I mean, if
thank
that's
you.
something that you would be interested in. I mean, I've done some of the early math to save some time. Everything is interest rates drive a lot, for us. Everybody's sitting watching what the 10-year Treasury's doing, and, where it is right now, if we were to put 10% of the units in for workforce housing right now, it's going to cost us about, $600,000-$700,000 extra. That's the math. Is that what you're looking for, sir?
I'm just looking for having a binding agreement that would satisfy Paula's concern so that we can consider this with the flavor of what it would be that you're willing to design. Because I think you have the skill and the knowledge and the financials to do this, and it would be a breakthrough project for Beaufort.
Thank you, Commissioner Oliver, for bringing that up because this is a priority and we're so close to our sewer capacity. We want to make sure that we get as much out of a project like this, or at least from my point of view, for our citizens as possible. And it makes me more inclined to grant the sewer if we're talking about affordable housing. I'm a state employee. I understand the struggle. So thanks for bringing that up, Commissioner Oliver.
And I'll be more blunt. You'll have my vote if you get that agreement done.
Okay, yes, sir.
I've been through that here, and it works.
Yes, sir.
Our pre-agreement was what, 44 pages? I mean, we've done that before here, and it works.
Don't upset Kyle. Let's bring it back memories.
Yes, sir. I mean, we're doing it in Greenville, not with workforce, but development agreement in Greenville, but Spartanburg, South Carolina. We're on the front of the county commissioners there, but it's a different program there because it's a tax abatement, versus, something else, so. But we would do all that we can, so. Very interested in being local, supporting the local population and growth of Beaufort.
Any further questions? Now, before you leave, I'm just going to refer back to the note to the meeting that we had several weeks ago. And I was very impressed with the fact that you guys do have the wherewithal and the ability to help us address with affordable housing that missing middle piece that we've talked about. And there was a few programs that you have spoken about, and I had mentioned that I would help work with you to get to some of these employers that are looking for housing that is attainable for their workers. That the hospital was one of them, the school being another, looking for teachers. So
Well, if you recall, Mayor, we also talked about like preferred employer programs. is
That's
what we do.
exactly right.
You know, and extend discounts out to preferred employers.
That's one of the things we talked about, open a master lease, set aside units for local employers. You had an example with Prism Health, what you did with there in South Carolina. That's for affordable housing retention. That is great. Love to be able to see that happen here. So there is mechanisms in which they've spoken about, and if we can get the number of people that are in need to your front door in order to reduce some of that cost for them, that would be a goal that I would commit to helping with. I know they're all market rate, but I think there are other things that are in your arsenal that we could probably start to look at in order to get this available, not just for those individuals who have the jobs. I know that Cherry Point's building a new, bringing in a new airplane, they're retiring one, and I know those jobs are going to be coming in at $90,000+ potentially. But we still need to educate those students that come in with those families. We need to treat them medically that come in when they have need. So these are the groups of individuals too. We need to have police, fire, and service. It's going to do those things. We still need to look out for those individuals as well that are not bringing in the 90,000. But I believe we've had a conversation that will help us get there. With this agreement that Commissioner Oliver has pointed out that gives us some security for us to continue to have that conversation, because I want to be able to see this actually happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for all the information. It was very helpful, and I agree with my board up here. I'm going to change the subject a little bit. You obviously have a lot of experience. What experience do you have with building in flood-prone areas? So this is not the most flood-prone area in town, but it is still prone to flooding.
Yes, ma'am. I've done quite a bit of it in flood zone. This is actually in Zone X, so it's not in the flood zone there. So, but if you're in a flood zone, you know, you have to work with FEMA to go through, design the project to come out of the flood zone, build it up enough. You have to go through and get a conditional letter of map revision from FEMA, build it, and then do an as-built, and then they come back and give you a letter of map revision for the flood map for it. But in that instance here, from our due diligence that we've done so far, that wouldn't be required because we're not in that flood zone because we're in X right now.
Correct. So right now, we're in the process of updating our town ordinances. So right now, that is correct, but in a couple years, there may be some more restrictions for building in this area. That doesn't apply today, obviously, but it is something that we're thinking ahead of. This, I do believe, falls into our proposed coastal resilience overlay zone, not the most vulnerable area, but the moderate one. So that's something that we as a board are thinking about as well as we're building. How do we make sure we're putting in infrastructure that can withstand flooding in these vulnerable areas?
Well, I saw it in Florida. I mean, I retired from U.S. Special Operations Command in MacDill, and I'd lived in a big development down there, and the engineers had designed all the storm ponds and everything when we got hurricanes down there to withstand, you know, the flooding. I was pretty amazed at the engineering feat that goes into the flood modeling. So we, obviously, our engineer with Stroud is here, are taking all that into account. You'll notice that a lot of chop marks through the trees out there trying to figure out what all the topo is and everything on the site. The site, used to be farmland. It was cleared. There's some old kind of irrigation ditches that are out there. We're actually coordinate with the Corps of Engineers now with a package because the water specialist doesn't think there's any jurisdictional wetlands out there, but we're getting a reading from the Corps of Engineers in Wilmington over that. That package is already in there. So it's all this upfront stuff that we're doing our due diligence on site to make sure, that it's buildable. We try to stay away from flood zones as much as we can when we're looking at sites, because it's just problematic. It costs a lot more money to build there.
And if you want to make Commissioner Spiegler smile, during our conversation when you were talking about the proposed project, I asked if you were going to be putting sidewalks on both sides of the street, and you said,
yes.
There you go.
Yeah, that does make me smile.
Makes
Thank
her
you.
smile.
I do like, because I have 3 young girls, I lived at Langley Air Force Base, and they ran the sidewalks. They were so short, my little girls would ride their trike, and they'd run into the back of a truck. So I actually like to flip the sidewalks, so the sidewalks on the back of the curb, so you have further to park, So that's
You
just a
do-
personal thing.
Do you do both the site work and the vertical, or
Yeah,
will,
well,
or
we-
will the owner do the site work?
No, sir. I mean, we will third-party general contractor it out. The general contractor would, we generally will hire a local site contractor because they know what's going on, in a municipality, and then we'll build it. We plan to build it with the GC out of Greenville that we're building 137 townhouses with right now that we're going to finish up here in February. So, we're already leasing those up as we speak, so.
How much of that, is any of that property cleared already, or?
No, sir, it's all, well, except, I take that back. There's two houses at the entry on 101. Those are, the rest of it is all wood. The other thing that we're kind of hoping to do, because the owner also owns the bunkhouse, is to try to connect that together. There, we actually have it set up so that the back amenity area is there. We have a pool. We're thinking about putting pickleball courts back there, potentially. It's a big craze now, but, it gets people out and
Pickleball,
about.
yeah.
And it might be a shared amenity area with, folks coming in and staying at the
I
bunkhouse.
don't know who came up with that pickleball. Questions also. If I'm recalling though, there's no real hardcore trees up in there. Is it just brush or just brush and
It's mainly pine.
mainly pine?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, it was a farmland. Years ago, you go back and look at
Yeah, that's what I was
historical one.
not recalling, but as I drive that a little bit, I know I don't really see no large trees obscuring on that property.
No, sir. It's very dense. It's been a struggle with Stroud Engineering getting in there to survey it. It's very thick. So they were in there in the middle of the summer, so hats off to them for doing that.
For real.
All right, so we do have a topic on the table here, unless we have any further questions or side comments. We are still requesting the reserve of 16,380 gallons per day for a new development. And if there's any further questions, I'd like for the board to continue to deliberate on that so that we can come up with a motion either way. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnston.
Can
Yes.
I would make a motion to table the application pending an approved development plan of this board.
Okay. Looks like
I
got
agree
a
with-
consensus on that one. All right, let's make that in form of a motion. Okay. So we've got that as your motion?
Did you get it? Is-
Okay.
Is that acceptable to you, sir?
Yes, sir. As long as it's not 60 pages long, we can do it in probably 15.
Well, we had a famous attorney here who always had that same complaint that they must have paid the attorneys by the word, but I'm sure that you have a lot of experience with that and can come up with a draft. And the real bottom line, in my opinion, and I may not be here when the vote comes, is really think about how large a percentage of those units can be dedicated to, and I don't like to use the word rent control, there's probably a more appropriate word to use, but that's the secret from my interest in it, and thank you very much for coming yourself, and with your position in the company, it means a lot to this board that you would take this project on and come here tonight and present it yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston. All right, so we've got a motion to table this. And any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Very good. Now we're going to move on to the next topic, which is the annexation petition of 143 and 179 Penner's Point. And we have Elizabeth Lewis for that one.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Before you tonight is a resolution for petition for annexation of 143 and 179 Penner's Point Road. The Culper Group submitted a petition for annexation on behalf of property owner Roberta D. West and client Britt Development Company for portions of the property located on Penner's Point Road totaling 31.83 acres. The annexation application and map are attached. in your agenda packet for your review. As a reminder, this is the first step in the process that involves the board to take action to instruct the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency of annexation requests. Happy to answer any questions you might have, and representatives are here as well.
Yes. Any questions for Elizabeth?
I have one question for Ari.
Yes, sir.
Is there any obligation for the town of Beaufort to accept a voluntary annexation?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any questions for staff? The applicants here, if they wish to come up and make a statement, you're more than welcome, or your representative.
Good evening, Ron Cullifer.
Long time no see.
It's been a while. But yeah, we prepared the application for Ms. West for the voluntary annexation. It's the first step in the process to try to become part of the town of Beaufort. It's currently in the ETJ. Obviously it's right in front of the food line behind State Police Credit Union. If you kind of get a general sense of where it's at, I know the map's in there somewhere. But this is the first step to try to see if there's a potential to develop this piece of property with city services, water and sewer. And respectfully request a favorable vote on that, and then if that's the case, then we'll move forward with a plan that we'll bring back to you for review and approval at some later point.
Okay. Any questions?
None for him.
Oh, okay. Okay, further down the road. Well, it looks like there's no further questions for you. Thank you, Mr. Culliver. All righty, I'll let the board take its time to go ahead and to discuss whether to approve or deny the attached resolution for the town clerk to investigate the petition of annexation.
Is this not the same? This is this property is right around Gibbs Creek? Is that the?
Yes.
Okay. And we in the past have not been very favorable of any type of construction in terms of development along Gibbs Creek. Wanted to make sure that one last pristine creek that we have within this town remained that way. And I cannot see, and I have not changed my opinion in terms of any type of development, construction development, that would impede that creek from not staying clean. I mean, we've had, I think, a couple of years, about 3 years back, developer that came in and was making all kinds of ways that they can put in various pumps or whatever that would keep that creek clean, and it didn't sell then, it's not gonna sell now in my thoughts. So I would not be in favor of anything construction-wise on that piece of property.
Okay. Any other comments? Would you like to address that? Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity. That is something that we are definitely aware of in terms of the condition of that creek. We've been working with Coastal Federation for several months. Dr. Judd Kenworthy. We have presented them some concepts that seem favorable to them. Obviously, for an annexation request, it's not the rezoning, so we're not showing you what we're doing yet, but we'd like the opportunity to do that. But Gibbs Creek conservation is what we've developed of utmost importance, and I think we've developed a good plan.
So what is the plan?
Yeah.
It's a stormwater wetland way above the creek.
And you had conversation with Dr. Kenworthy?
Absolutely.
Conversation with who? I missed that.
Dr. Kenworthy.
Oh, Dr.
That's out.
Yeah, and the Coastal Federation. I mean, we've had some joint meetings together, review their concerns and work through some of those, and they'll speak for themselves, when it's the appropriate time, but we've put in the work.
I don't know if this is appropriate, but I do know that Dr. Kenworthy is in the audience right now.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Ron, before you step aside, how many acres are not in the 100-year floodplain roughly of the 31 that you're talking about.
Can you see the squiggly line there? Yeah, right there. That's the flood line.
Right.
So it's of that.
I guessed about 16. Am I close?
That's close. Yes, sir. And our proposed development plan is from there up. I know the restrictions aren't in place yet, but we're developing as if they are.
All right, Commissioner Gillikin?
Because we're so close on sewer capacity, I would definitely vote no on this request as presented tonight. And, you know, additional factors would be our past denial, the past controversy, our stated commitment to in-town projects that we talked about at the last meeting. And because it's not within the town limits, it doesn't have a priority ranking in our sewer allocation process, so we can't consider that. Now, if we did have a bit of sewer capacity, and we weren't so close to that 80% threshold, I might be willing to talk with the developer about an exemplary environmental plan to protect Gibbs Creek that can also meet the construction needs. So I appreciate the work that has been done with the Coastal Federation. I appreciate that Dr. Kenworthy has given up some of his retirement time to advise on this subject. And I would appreciate protection of those wetlands, but for the reasons I stated up front, we're not in a position to make this annexation.
And I would echo Commissioner Gillikin. I think the biggest concern here right now is that stormwater allocation. And as you've heard all night, this is a huge challenge for the town. I think in terms of the stormwater runoff and water quality, some of the ideas that you're working through with the Coastal Federation, I think those are really great, and we would love to see those sorts of projects here in Beaufort, whether it's within town limits, in the ETJ. That's exactly how we want to see smart development in our town. We want to see those projects that are going to help with our water quality. That's not what we're arguing here at all. And I could see this piece of property, you know, you've got the opportunity to develop the more upland part, and that could be where the more dense development goes, and then maybe the less development goes in the area, you know, to the right on this figure that is in the more low-lying area. And that's what we are trying to do with the update of our ordinances as well. That's the kind of development we want to see. But what Commissioner Gillikin is saying, even before we get to that right now, we have a stormwater, we have to be really careful with our stormwater allocation, and we have to prioritize the properties within town right now. So that's really, I think that's really the bottom line right now for us, or for myself.
Commissioner?
No comment.
Any comment?
Ron, something else that you're right in the middle of and you're professional on. I shared with the other commissioners, have shared what I called the cliff notes concerning our sewer allocation. Because as you know, only 27% of our current sewer capacity is actually effluent. The rest is all stormwater problems. And we all have spent a lot of time, and I tried to document that and have shared it with the other commissioners. There's a list of 12 items on the Cliff Notes, which I think you would be particularly skillful at helping us understand how over time we can solve some of our stormwater problems and eventually have a much greater sewer capacity, which in addition to the environmental issues is the hot button that we're all sitting here talking about today. So I would urge you to, any way that professionally you could involve yourselves with that. Again, civil engineering, some of your competitors were involved in that. You're well up to date on everything that's going on in this town. But anything you can do to help this board and our staff figure out a 10-year plan. It's my personal opinion that we have plenty of sewer capacity, but it's going to take a time, including the USDA completion, including the WER, which we signed on to. There are 10 or 12 different items that if you could help us, it would allow some of these things to be handled from the sewer side. And I'd be glad to share that with you for whatever worth it is to you, but it's part of the issue in addition to the environmental issue that this so clearly addresses.
I totally understand the concern of capacity. I mean, the world of treatment plant design that I've dealt with hasn't typically been municipality level stuff.
Right.
But the 80% threshold that you're really concerned about isn't that big of a deal. I mean, that 80% is when you got to start a process to look at expansion.
You have to initiate plans.
Yeah.
I paid for it once, I know.
And so, I mean, it's not like it's a 1 or 2 year thing.
Right.
On that 80%.
But
So
there are a lot of other things that we can do.
that's going to lower that.
That's
That's
correct.
going to lower that.
That's correct.
And obviously, you're the board. I mean, it's your decision to make. I just, this is someone that's basically immediately adjacent to town, and I know that they don't have a priority, but it's a good location for development. We spent a lot of time looking at the main environmental concerns, and, depending, what the final decision is on the board, there will be sewer capacity available. I mean, there is today. There will be hopefully more capacity available when your project's infiltration, I&I stuff is completed. But the 80% number in the engineering world isn't that scary number.
I agree with you. The only thing that bugs me is that only 27% of it is effluent.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of room in there. Now, there is a break-even point where it's cheaper to bid more capacity than it is to fix I&I problems. We're all understand that, but I just would urge you to help us, help the community solve these various problems that are being discussed and putting out there because they are thresholds, and this board wants to make sure that those thresholds are met.
No, and of course, I work well with the staff.
Yes, sir.
And so anything I can contribute, we're glad.
That's why I'm
glad to do
begging
that.
your attention, because you don't know exactly what we need to do.
Okay, understood. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ron.
Any further questions for Mr. Culliver? All right, thank you. So it sounds like the board is concerned about the capacity for this sewer. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Please come on up. Mr. Britt? Sorry.
I'm Dale Britt, Britt Development Company. Just would wonder if there's a possibility that we could come back to you and show you what we have been working on as far as Coastal Federation and Dr. Kenworthy to make this work. All of the development is outside the NIZ. We were actually our plan was to make a dedication, a conservation area, about 10 acres inside the NIZ, and that would not be developed at all. The development is kind of a compact development. What we have designed is 82, or it's 82. I guess you could, 82's one level. I guess it'd be 41 one-level townhomes. Excuse me, not townhomes, duplexes, single level, 2-car garages. And there's 3 acres on Live Oak Street there, next to the State Employees Credit Union, that would potentially be some kind of commercial development. But the total site's about 30 acres or so, and we were going to dedicate 10 acres or so to the Coastal Federation. But I guess my request or my question is, would it be possible for us to come back to you? We were told that we really couldn't show you a plan with the annexation request. So if that would be possible, we'd be happy to come back again, show you what we have in mind, and then maybe it could help you make your decision. If the capacity is there, Ms. Gillikin, I understand what you're saying there. Certainly we wouldn't be, we started this process a good while back, and when we met with the town and we met with the folks in the town, we were assured that the capacity would be there. So we've spent right much money already getting to where we are by having engineers out there, getting designs done, having soil borings done, identifying the the NIZ area and walking the property with Coastal Federation and with Dr. Kenworthy to understand exactly the dynamics there. And as Ron said, his plan was to create something new to Beaufort, and that hasn't been done here before. But it's literally creating a wetland, an upland wetland that would hopefully do the job of the water quality job. So anyway, that would be my only request, is to be able to come back to you again with what we have in mind. And I think we're pretty darn close as far as the end result.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Thank you.
Appreciate their concern. My commissioner is the sewer capacity.
Sure.
My concern is keeping Gibbs Creek clean.
Yes, sir. And that's what
Not
we've been
sure
working
how
on.
you would be able to do that if you're gonna be placing units on this property.
Well, I'm not an engineer, but again, hopefully we've been trying to go about it the right way to allay your concerns to Mr. Cooper. But anyway, thank you for your time.
I do appreciate that you discussed conservation easement on this property. I think that's a good step. Over the years, even the Tiller School has tried to obtain or purchase property from Ms. West multiple times over the past 30 years, and has been unsuccessful to try to expand onto the school just for playgrounds for the children. I think that might be something, if possible, to consider with this to make this even more palatable to the community. Just a thought.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a good thought, and we would. Thank you.
All right, so thank you. Any further questions? Now, there's no reason why we can't work backwards if they wanted to come back with us and talk to us about their project, bring people from the community. This has been a very sensitive topic, especially environmental. We also still have the same capacity concerns, whether you come back or not, but I definitely think we might be open to hearing the full story. There's no guarantee, but is there any reason to say that's illegal or?
Well, you've got to be careful of what I would call contract annexation. There is no guarantee that you can impose at this point, or anything that you can firm up insofar as the nature of the development. So this is just a decision on whether you want this property within the town limits or not. And once you say yes, then the property is subject to whatever the ordinances say at the time. Even if the petitioner says this is what we're going to do, that's not binding in any way until you have site plan approvals and preliminary plat approvals and things along those lines.
What about a pre-annexation agreement? Could that apply?
You really cannot annex by agreement. You could do a pre-development agreement, and that's the workaround with that.
And a no would mean, a no to the annexation would kill it?
Yes, sir.
Ari, are you saying we could do a pre-development agreement before it's annexed?
You would have to do a pre-development agreement that is subject to annexation, and the annexation has to be in the absolute legislative decision of this board at the end of the day. You can't, it's a tricky legal concept, as you can't condition your annexation on the pre-development agreement. I mean, it's got to be a straight up or down vote. We did something very similar with the Beaufort Club, I believe, historically. Kyle?
Hey, Eric, didn't we do something similar to this with a previous developer where they came to the town and showed kind of sketch drawings and idea about what the property could look like and what
Yes.
they could do, and that went to the planning board first for their discussion.
Correct.
And the town was able to discuss that, and we had community
Correct.
members come in. So that's an avenue.
That's an
correct?
avenue, yes.
Okay.
But that doesn't bind the developer, I mean, for that, on that conceptual
Or the
plan,
town.
it doesn't bind them or the town,
Correct.
I
Until
would,
the approvals are granted.
Right, it's a tricky situation because I would not want to annex this in unless we could work with the developer on our sewer capacity problem. Maybe they can contribute financially some way, and it's exemplary, an example of environmental protection.
Sure.
That would be those two things.
And if the board wants to work with the developer, I think tonight your charge may be to staff and legal counsel to come up with a path forward to do that. If that's the board's direction, but for purposes of tonight, I mean, it's a straight up or down vote. You can, of course, table it until a future time.
I don't know, do you want to table it or actually just vote it up or down? But you could always work with the staff regardless of what that is.
Correct. You can
Okay.
always.
Yes, sir. Commissioner?
I'd like to make a motion to be, I'm going to be the tabling commissioner tonight.
Oh.
I'd like to make a motion to table this action tonight.
And did we want to have staff and legal come up with a pathway?
I wasn't going to make any condition.
Okay.
I'm just going to suggest that we table it tonight. I think the staff staff and the applicant can do as they wish after the meeting. My suggestion is, my motion is to table this tonight.
I want to make one more comment before we vote.
Sure.
So, now I'm losing my train of thought. In the future, if we did have sewer capacity, we would want maybe something like this to be an example for other places that could be developed along the North River. So, I mean, I don't want to give up the idea of the conversation completely because it could be an opportunity. Not every developer is going to be willing to do conservation easements. Not every developer is going to be willing to work with the Coastal Federation and to consult experts like Dr. Kenworthy and others. So, you know, don't want to throw that conversation in the trash. I do want us to realize that it could be good for, you know, an example of other things that could be done along North River to protect our water quality. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, before we even vote, is it possible for us to hear from Dr. Kenworthy since he's there in the audience? I don't want to put him on the spot, but I would like, but, I mean, for us to really make a sound decision to say yes or no or table it, I would like to hear from Dr. Kenworthy.
I'm not quite sure what kind of value it's going to hold at this point in time.
Yeah, I would agree. We don't have any design, any
We
plans,
don't have a
any idea
design or
for
plan.
stormwater.
But they have gone and sought his expertise on this matter. So that puts him in that category of being able to speak to, as they would say in the courts, whatever.
I don't know about for the annexation part. Now, if we want to have a conversation with him as well as the developer in the same room, I would see that would be more value, but I don't know how that's going to lend any value to the decision made today, whether to approve this annexation petition or not.
Do you have a motion on the floor, Mayor?
I do have a motion on the floor, and that is to table this petition. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Sounds like I have 3 ayes, and all opposed have the same right.
No.
Aye.
Oh. Okay, so you come in an aye for, okay, so there's 4 ayes and 1 opposed. The motion carries. All righty. Now we're going to be moving on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. In addition to the weekly email and the monthly updates, I just wanted to take an opportunity to publicly thank our town staff, specifically Rachel Johnson, Sam Bell, Mark Eakes, and the rest of the team. We're proud and pleased to say, if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at Rachel for eye contact, $120,000 grant award for Ann Street Park. So we would like to say thank you to our team members that helped assemble that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In addition to that, we breached the subject slightly tonight, that there will be a confirmation of a public engagement conversation for the NCDOT roundabout at Live Oak, and we would anticipate that public meeting to be latter in the month of September. And as soon as we get confirmation from DOT, we will socially promote that meeting and get the information out. Also wanted to let the town know that we are moving forward with all of our steps pertinent to the Beaufort Town docks, and it has been an extremely smooth onboarding so far. We are working with F3. We're also working with local insurance agents to make sure that the town will be protected when this process goes into effect on the 1st of January 2026. Also pleased to share that we had over 80 applicants for our Community Engagement Director role, which is a highly sought-after role. So we are diligently working through those applications, the interview process, and we would hope to have someone in the announcements in the next few weeks so that we can hopefully onboard him or her as early as October, late October, that time frame. And I don't want to steal any of your thunder about the Beaufort Garden Club, so I'll defer for the mayor to do that. We do have something that the community will see throughout. So Beaufort Garden Club did ask us for permission for small signs that would be measuring approximately 9 inches by 9 inches. And within those signs, they'll be placed in flower bed areas, areas of improvement, so it would give the public a chance to see all the hard work that the Beaufort Garden Club is doing around our town. So thank you to the Garden Club for that hard work, and you'll start to see their small signs, which are compliant in our historic preservation area as well. So we made thoroughly clear that we went through all of our channels on that. And then, again, thank you to Public Information's Officer for producing a really well-done Town of Beaufort newsletter that went out not only in the utility bills, but you'll also see it electronically. And we're trying to do one mid-month as well on the 15th. So if you'd like to sign up for our email database, we'd encourage you to do so, and we're going to try to continue to garner that. With that being said, Mayor, I'll take any questions that the commissioners have, but just thank you for that time.
Does anybody have any questions for Matt? Okay. Seeing that there is none, we're going to move on to the mayor and commissioner's comment. We'll start with Commissioner Cooper.
None.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilligan?
No comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopicolo?
No comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiegler?
I'll just say thank you to everybody who participated tonight, and keep it short.
Thank you. Commissioner Oliver?
No comment.
Well, now that they have given me all their time, I appreciate that. As Matt alluded to, I was able to have the honor to attend the kickoff meeting for the Beaufort Garden Club, which was on September the 4th. They've done some amazing work throughout town. There was 2 major projects that they had taken on. If you hadn't had a chance to take a look at it, it's at the corner of Black Sheep and one in front of Kitty Hike Heights. When I walked by and I told them, I said, it looked okay to me. That lets you know how much of a gardener I'm not. But if you look at the after pictures, you can see the intense amount of work that they put into this area. It is super beautiful. So it was my pleasure to present them with a proclamation declaring September the 4th Beaufort Garden Club Appreciation Day.
Good for you.
We have 9/11 Remembrance that's going to be occurring on Thursday. Thank you, Chief Ray, for the ceremony that you're going to be holding this Thursday. Is it 10:30, I believe? 10:20? Be exact, be on time.
10:20 to 10:28.
10:20, yeah, have a whole 8 minutes, which is as long as it took for those towers to come down. And I hope we all have an opportunity to reflect and pause and honor the lives that were lost during this tragic moment. All of the energy for those individuals who went in took personal account for themselves to go in to save lives, and the families that were impacted, and the resilience that we have had within our nation to recover from this. Starting September the 15th through October the 15th, this is Hispanic Heritage Month, and I will have an opportunity to present a proclamation celebrating this at the Nuestra Fiesta Latina in September the 27th. This is going to be at the Crystal Coast Civic Center from 12 to 7. The NAACP will be holding their Women's of Excellence program on Saturday, September the 27th at the Leon Mann Center. I want to thank them for allowing me to be the guest speaker this year. I found out this past week that I've lost a dear friend and someone who has had a huge impact on our community, whether you knew it or not. I want to offer my heartfelt condolences to the Knox family for the passing of Mr. Tommy Knox. Many of you, if you've ever been to the hospital, he's been known as the face of the hospital, the first person that you would see when you would come to registration. He would always wear the bright shirts and the beautiful tie, thanks to his wife. But there is not one point in time that his time on duty would he stay behind that desk. He would always get out and help someone get out of their car, take them from the parking lot before we even had transportation. His compassion ran extremely deep, and he will be truly missed. And I just want to say that I will be missing him too. He's a true community treasure. I also had an opportunity to take a tour of the NOAA facility. Many of you might have read in the paper of the condition of their number 2 building, and it's being offered to anybody who here on this panel would like to go ahead and take a visit. They have received $2 million to help demo that, but we also need to continue to advocate for money to be able to rebuild. NOAA was placed in that specific reason for that spot for a specific reason, and we need to have that intel as a coastal community. And based on that, I'm going to end my comments. Thank you all for attending. Those who are still remaining online cooking dinner, we'll all be over to get it because we're all hungry. And if I can get a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the North Carolina General Statute 143, 318.11, A and 3, I'd appreciate it. What he said.
So moved.
Thank you. We've got a motion on the floor. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. Please take 4 minutes.